Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. And happy Christmas. Now, for this video, a channel such as this would naturally be drawn to such topics as the particular suffering of those out on the streets at this time of year, or in abusive homes, or even in loving homes, but are too poor to be able to afford food on any particular day, let alone when the rest of the country is feasting. But no. Christmas is a time for bringing people together, and the Prime Minister himself has called for people to use this day to think about the things that they have coming towards them, to look forward to. So, well, let's go with that. I mean, you know, if soldiers facing across each other in the early 20th century trenches could have a pissed up friendly football match, well, I'm sure I can meet Boris Johnson in the middle for just one day and adopt his idea. So, what can we look forward to? I was thinking possibly about the concept of people-powered movements that will work to oppose the government's worst crimes against their own people over the next few years. So let's go with that. But first, if you'd like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe to the channel and also click the bell notification icon. So, Acorn UK, which is a community-based direct action group, is active at the moment in 10 areas in England and also has an office in Wales. Its aim has been to drive through change in local areas, bypassing politicians altogether. They're not affiliated to political parties, and that is the point of them. They're just formed of groups of citizens who want targeted improvements, whatever their party political beliefs, in their community, and they band together to push for it. Since the general election results, they've reported a massive increase in new members. Many people are dismayed at the prospect of not just 5 more years of a Conservative government, which would be ruinous for local communities, but a Boris Johnson government at that. But they also feel that Labour is not in touch with local communities and is unwilling or unable to deliver the change that they need. And an organisation like this really could make a difference, at least in the short term. I always worry about projects such as this in the long term, because the more powerful, the more effective a group becomes, the more likely it is to be infiltrated by those who wish to use such groups for their own selfish ends. But right now, it appears to be delivering real change in the areas where it's active, and is certainly firing the imagination of a lot of people. The group appears to have been formed largely to help people with housing issues, something that you have to go a long way back to find a government that took the issue seriously enough. Sir Keir Starmer's been saying this week that actually we should really adopt the view that housing is an essential human right. But for too often it has been neglected by successive governments. But with the influx of new members and the reasons for joining, it appears that the group are planning to branch out into environmental issues, immigration, workers' rights, access to food, which again should be a basic human right. All the things that political parties aren't doing much about with the power that they have, but also things that grassroots movements in local communities can actually do something about themselves, rather than grumbling about politicians not doing enough. These are people that have gone, do you know what, we're going to do it then. And I personally think it's absolutely brilliant. I'll put a link in the description below to their website if you wish to join yourself or just learn more about them, which includes details about past and current projects. But just the idea of local groups of people sorting out local issues is inspiring to me. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about people's assemblies, but again, it's one of those things that we're saying, politicians do this thing for us, we want it. It's like, but they're not doing it. So we'll do it ourselves. Why not? Why not? I think it's amazing. Although, of course, you do get local groups campaigning for and winning changes, and that's happened, you know, for generations. But that tends to be quite limited. It tends to be on like a single issue, and then when that group's achieved that aim, then the group no longer does anything. Whereas this is an organisation that's going to keep pushing for change that it needs in those local communities. And I think, you know, too often we do rely on national governments to deal with issues and then just grumble when they don't do it. And at the end of the day, we see our votes as our engagement with politics, but you can only use that to vote on a person, not a policy. But direct action groups are amazing for 2 reasons. First of all, they can actually affect change where the politicians are not doing. And two, they can inspire the local community to get more involved in their local area, create a better sense of community. And that can only work to get people to open their eyes to what's really going on in their local area, at least, if not the national picture. You know, see how effective or otherwise their elected representatives are. And the knock-on effect on that could be a more engaged electorate, which will hold their representatives better to account when the elections do come around. But while we wait for Labour to whip themselves into shape as a serious opposition, it may well be that the best solution for countering what is intended to come is to do it ourselves. So that's my message of hope. I'm sure the Prime Minister will be pleased to know that even his political opponents can heed his words and think about what we can look forward to in the future. So I'll leave you with those thoughts and wish you a happy Christmas and a hopeful New Year.